What's currently happening in the Nashville real estate market in the summer of 2022? Our temperatures are scorching hot, but our real estate market is actually starting to cool off a little bit. So I'm covering what you need to know in today's video. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Martin and I'm a local Nashville real estate agent and founder of the Caitlin Martin team. And I specialize in helping savvy sellers who want to sell right and sell smart, as well as helping out-of-staters looking to relocate to the Middle Tennessee area. If this is your first time stopping by my channel, thank you so much. Please feel free to click subscribe down below so that you are notified anytime I release new video content. And please head on over to Instagram where you can follow me at Caitlin Martin Realtor, where I give frequent updates on what I'm seeing in the market and just daily life and the life of a Nashville real estate agent. So in today's video, we are talking about the current state of the Nashville real estate market. The numbers just came out for June of 2022. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So one of the most noteworthy pieces to come out of the numbers is just how much inventory we have on the market. Now I am in the MLS daily, and I'm frequently noticing that we are seeing more opportunity on the market, more properties on the market for buyers to look at. But here's the thing, it's crazy when you actually compare the number to how much inventory was on the market in June of 2022 compared to June of 2021. So let's actually look at that number first. So in the numbers that came out from Greater Nashville Realtors Association, our numbers showed that in June of 2022, we had 7,370 properties on the market. Now, that is an insane number. We have not seen that number in a long time, especially over the last 16 months. We are so used to seeing numbers sitting right around that 4,500 mark. So to see something in the 7,000s is bananas. But here's the thing, let's actually compare that to how much was on the market in June of 2021. We had 4,615 homes on the market. That is a difference of 2,755 more homes on the market this year compared to last year. So what does that mean? What are we seeing? So yes, obviously inventory is up, which is great news because we have been dealing with such incredibly low supply and such high demand. That was what was driving those insanely over asking price offers that we were seeing and the sheer number of offers that we were seeing. I mean, even as of February of this year, we were still seeing homes get 30, 40 offers on it. So what are we seeing now? So we are seeing homes actually last through the first weekend that they're on the market, which is not something that we had been used to seeing, especially throughout 2021. So homes are sitting through that first weekend, which is great. We are starting to see sellers be more conservative with their pricing. Over the last year, sellers really had an advantage because of the supply and demand issue where sellers could get a little aggressive with their pricing and it didn't matter because they were still gonna get a ton of offers and they were still gonna go over asking price. Now what we're seeing is sellers are having to be far more conservative and price at market value or just under market value in order to attract the most amount of buyers because yes, even though we've got more inventory, we still are seeing a really strong relocation demand coming in. And so you also have to factor in the fact that we are still dealing with interest rates and they have gone up from those historically low numbers that we were seeing in the high 2s, low 3s. So they have gone up, but we are still seeing strong demand. And the great news is we've got, as of right now, more supply on the market, which means if you are home shopping, if you are thinking about relocating, you're gonna have more homes to see on the market than we have seen since at least November of 2020, which is crazy. So you have more opportunity, more homes to see, so that you have more of a choice. Also, homes that are lasting more than that first weekend, you have the opportunity to potentially come to the table and not be in a multiple offer situation, which means you have the opportunity to negotiate more favorable terms, because when it was those crazy multiple offer situations, you were having to basically waive any and everything for the most part, and even try and throw in some sort of crazy incentive to get the seller to pick you. And I'm not joking when I say this was not a client of mine. However, I do know that for a home in Franklin, there were buyers who offered the sellers a Hawaiian vacation and they got the house. So like our market, crazy things were happening, but we are now reaching a more stable and a much more normalized seller's market. And I did say sellers, we are still in a seller's market. However, as a seller, it means that you are still now having to revert back to making sure you do your proper pre-market prep to make sure that your listing shows to the best of its ability, because no longer are you automatically guaranteed to get exceedingly over list price with multiple offers. You're no longer guaranteed that. Now, are we still seeing multiple offer situations? Yes, we are. Certain homes priced right, marketed well, shows well, there is still the opportunity for multiple offers. However, instead of it being like 30 or 40, it's far less than that. Now, certain price points, we're absolutely still seeing multiple offer situations. Anything really below 700,000, especially if you're in that like 3 to 4, 3 to 500,000, we are absolutely still seeing strong competition, strong multiple offer situations. So, but as you climb up more towards that 1 million and above mark, that's where you can start to have the potential to get a home without being in a multiple offer situation, because as you may know, as interest rates go up, what buyers can afford is going to decrease a little bit. So we have seen homes fall out of contract because the way the interest rates have moved, buyers are no longer able to obtain financing for that price point. So we have seen that happen. So our market is just very much getting back to a more normalized seller's market. Now, Nashville has been a predominant seller's market for the better part of the last decade, and we've seen ebbs and flows. However, what we saw through 2021 was unlike what most agents have ever seen before in terms of just that wild market where you barely had a chance to breathe. So we're just now very much getting into a more normalized seller's market. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are thinking about buying, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about moving here, if you have the opportunity to move sooner rather than later, purchase sooner rather than later, because as interest rates go up, which they are predicted to go up, that means that your monthly payment's going to go up. And as the interest rates go up, homes month by month will continue to build appreciation. And so the same home that would be priced today is going to be priced higher, most likely come the end of the year. So these are all things to keep in mind. Now, I know that the word recession is out there and it's freaking a lot of people out. And if you haven't seen my last video that I did for May, here's something to keep in mind, because the headlines in the news, all they're gonna do is try and scare you. So with that, if you look at the last 6 recessions that the US has been through, in 4 out of the 6, home values still continue to appreciate. So that's something to keep in mind. Just because the word recession is being thrown around, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden home values are gonna start tanking in Nashville. Quite the opposite. And so let's actually talk about that really quickly. So Nashville, like I said, it's been a hot relocation town, but since 2020, we've really seen more businesses relocate their headquarters. Not only are people moving for personal reasons, you've got businesses coming because it's a more business tax-friendly state. You're also having people who are moving for those jobs who maybe didn't have Tennessee or Nashville on their radar in the first place. So we continue to attract talent. We continue to attract businesses, which shows that we are not expected to have any sort of population or big economic decline, at least when it comes to our job economy, anytime soon. And those things can start to play a factor into home values, right? And if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, if you're looking at the population for Nashville, we're expected to have another 200,000 people move to the Middle Tennessee area by 2025, which roughly breaks down to about 104 people a day. Not only that, but then another study came out of the University of Tennessee that said that Tennessee is expected to increase by 1 million people in population by 2040, with 57% of that landing in the Nashville area. So we are continuing to expect to see more people moving to Nashville, which as more people come, it's gonna drive up home values. So am I saying that home values are gonna continue to appreciate at dramatic rates like we had seen last year? No, we will still continue to see appreciation though. Of course, it's gonna be more on the conservative side of things now. And here's something else, it's just food for thought. It's more of an anecdotal thing to keep in mind here. And there's a lot happening in our world, in our economy, but Nashville has a lot going for it. And one example of that is we actually had a brand new W Hotel. It was built in the Gulch, which is near downtown Nashville. It was actually built and completed in the fall of 2021, and it just sold for $328.7 million. And it was actually in a bidding war, which drove up the price. And so if you break that 328.7 million down by the number of rooms that they have in the hotel, that roughly breaks down to $950,000 a room or a door, which is bananas. Do you really think companies would be pouring that kind of money into an asset in Nashville, such as a luxury hotel, if Nashville wasn't on a positive trajectory? So that's something to keep in mind. You know, it's not just people moving here, but people are choosing to park their money and their assets here as well. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, if you're curious about what home values do look like, let's actually take a look at what the numbers show us home sales prices are in Franklin, Brentwood, and Nolensville for June of 2022. So in Franklin, for a single family home in June of 2022, the average home sale price was $1,075,144, which is actually an increase of 35.5% from the same time last year. Let's look at Brentwood. A single family home in Brentwood in June of 2022, the average home sale price was $1,304,244, and that was an increase of 25.8% over the sales price of a single family home in Brentwood last year. And now let's take a look at Nolensville. The average home sale price for a single family home was $749,809. That's actually an increase of 29.4% from the same time last year. Now let's take a look at what the median percentage of list price was, because yes, I've said that we are seeing price reductions. Yes, there's not as many multiple offer situations. However, in certain communities, we are still seeing strong demand. We are still seeing at or near list price. So if we're looking at what the median of percentage of list price is in Franklin in June of 2022, it was 100.4% of list price, which is actually an increase in 1.4% from what it was last year. Let's take a look at Brentwood. In Brentwood, in June, it was sitting at 100.6%, which is actually only a 0.6 increase from the same time last year. And then let's take a look at Nolensville, and that's actually sitting at an even 100%. So just so you have an idea, because I don't want to give the wrong impression that you can just get a house dramatically under a list price. If it's priced right, if it's marketed well, it's still competitive, which means you still need to bring your best foot forward. But we are in other cases, even in Franklin, Brentwood, and Nolensville, we are seeing homes do price reductions. So we're seeing where homes are actually having to adjust their price to meet where the market is now. So let's actually take a look at what the average price per square foot is for a single family home in Franklin, Brentwood, and Nolensville. One thing to note, in each of these communities at a certain price point, the average price per square foot shifts, but we're gonna take a look at what the overall average is. So in Franklin, the average price per square foot is $326. That's actually an increase of 37% from the same time last year in Franklin. Now let's look at Brentwood. The average price per square foot is $302, and that is actually up 29.1%. And then in Nolensville, the average price per square foot is $252, and that is actually an increase of 31.3% from last year. So what does all of this mean if we're taking a look at it? Nashville is still a great place to live. It is still a great place to buy because yes, home prices are going up, but guess what? So is rent. And actually, if you haven't seen the video, I actually did a breakdown of what to know in terms of renting in Nashville versus buying in Nashville, and I did it with one of my local lenders, Jackie Hurtis. So you can actually click up here, it'll take you to that video. We have a whole conversation just about what it looks like to rent, or maybe people that are thinking about renting, maybe they don't even know that they actually have the opportunity to buy. So home prices, they are going to continue to appreciate. We are seeing our market soften just a bit, but again, I've said it a couple times, that the price is marketed right, priced right, shows well, it's going quickly. But for a seller, this means that you do need to put your best foot forward, doing your proper pre-marketing prep to get your home ready for sale. For buyers, this means that you have more opportunity than you have in a long time. Yes, interest rates are up, but still, it's better to get in sooner rather than later if you can. Now, if you are thinking about making a move to the Middle Tennessee area, I would love the opportunity to help you. My team and I are ready at any time. Actually, in fact, if you want to go ahead and start that conversation, I have a link down below to go ahead and book a Zoom call with me to go ahead and start that conversation. And it gives me an opportunity to answer any questions you may have. More than happy to do so. But also, if you are just looking for general information, I've got my free Nashville relocation guide down below as well. Now, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All of that contact information is down there. My name is Caitlin Martin. I'll see you next time.